I was talking to Eva Under Fire last week, who are currently touring with Bush around the US, and 3 dates in Canada coming up. Also on the bill, platinum certified, 5 times #1 hard rock radio charting, and so close to 1 billion total streams. The band Bad Wolves has accomplished amazing things since their full-length album dropped back in 2018. They are also on the bill, and joining me is lead guitarist and backup vocalist Coyle. How's it going?
It's going great. We're in not sunny Rhode Island.
You guys are hitting Peterborough on the 24th, Hamilton on the 25th, and then back to the States, then Vancouver, December 5th, just before your tour wraps up. It's got over 15 dates. So how's that going?
It's going amazing. I mean, every night, packed house. It's interesting. We're doing these really classic, beautiful, seated theaters, which, I'm sure I've done a couple of those, but I've never done a tour where that's predominantly the types of venue. So it's very, high class, and I feel like I'm a stowaway, and I don't belong in these beautiful venues, but the accommodations are incredible. Great catering, we've got stage areas and production. And Bush has just they bend over backwards to make sure we're happy and we have what we need. And it's probably one of the easiest tours I've ever done, as far as just everything is on time and clean, and you have everything you need. It's really incredible. And the audience it's a different experience when people are seated, because it's just tougher to gauge, if they enjoy it, are they having fun? And clearly there's, half the crowd probably has no idea who we are. So we're kind of, you're doing your thing. You're trying to win people over and have fun with it. And I think each day it gets a little better.
I think it would be so hard to sit down listening to your music.
I kind of I guess I should have known, but, comparatively, I mean, Bush brings in an older crowd, at this point. It's funny because I think about, I grew up listening to them.
Right.
And I'm 43, but I feel like the audience might even be older than that.
I was just going to say, what are you calling older?
No, I guess 43.
No, I'm the same age as you are. I'm just fooling with you. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're not 20 anymore.
So exactly. So I'm not expecting them to be, ripping up the seats and doing backflips through the through the rows, but we don't sound like them. We do our own thing. A bit of a, kind of more modern take, and we're more of a metal band. We get pretty heavy, but I like that. I think it's cool. I don't want to be on a tour where it's 4 bands that sound the same. So on this tour, every band brings their own flavor to things, and I think that keeps it interesting for people. And I like being a little abrasive and poking people in the eye a little bit, but having fun with it.
And I think people like that. They like to switch it up, and sometimes I find when we're listening to music, we kind of get stuck in what we like, and when our older bands release newer music, we just go to that no matter what. So when you go to a show and you see new bands opening and you like their stuff, then you get new music into your life. You would be the hardest on this tour. Eva Under Fire, they're pretty hard, and then Bush, well, everybody knows what Bush is like. But the first time I heard you was on the radio, and it was covering Cranberries' Zombie. And I swear, I almost had to pull over. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And to be able to cover something right out of the gate, because you guys dropped your first album in 2018. That's when you did the Cranberries cover, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what is the process? When you're just getting out there and you're just getting big, what are the hoops that you have to jump through to get the rights to record a song like that? Now a classic, anything 10 years older. And
well, anyone can record a cover. You just have to, it's just basically some paperwork. I think the issues you run into is when you have to do a music video, when you combine moving images with a cover, then you have to get different permissions and things like that, as far as in order to be able to do a music video. But I think anyone can, as long as you fill out certain paperwork and you make sure that the publisher, basically whoever wrote the song, gets paid on it, anyone can record a cover. So
okay.
There's not really that much of a barrier there. But yeah, listen, that was a phenomenon, and I had nothing to do with it. I can't take any credit for it. It was a song our singer already had from a previous project that they were going to kind of put on the record, and Dolores was going to sing on it because Dan Waite, who's now the CEO of Better Noise, was one of the guys running the UK office and had a relationship with Dolores. And Alan Kovac, our guy who owns the label and management company, he used to manage the Cranberries, away, and kind of, what's history is history, and that certainly fed into the narrative of, I think, why the cover was important and why it connected with people and kind of became a tribute to her. And that, it was one of the, I'd say probably the singularly most unique thing that's ever happened in my career. And it's like was 0 to 100 in terms of exposure. And we were doing very mainstream media. We were doing TV shows and radio, and it just kind of took off. But it gave us all like a head start, I think, over a lot of bands that were launching a career. But we still had to go and just work. That year, I think we did 9 months straight on the road, maybe like a week or so in between tours. And, and we were going out, we were making, I don't know, $1,000 a night or something, like in a van. Like we didn't, like we weren't just, it wasn't just right to private jets or anything. So we really had to earn it, despite the fact that we had this kind of huge advantage of this single that, just gave you a lot of heat and put a lot of, made people pay attention. And it definitely got, at the time, Zoltan from Five Finger Death Punch was managing the band, so they brought us on a bunch of tours. I mean, that helped probably as much or more than anything, playing in front of their audience, which was, it was a very great combination and a great fit for us for what we were doing stylistically.
I bet you are so glad that in 2018 you did so much traveling and you got out there as much as you did, because up came the pandemic right after that.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much didn't stop. I mean, one album cycle led into the next, and a new record, and we were basically on our second tour of the second album, Nation, when all that stuff went down, and it kind of, it stopped us in our tracks. It stopped a lot of bands in their tracks. I mean, a lot of bands broke up. Many artists. It was kind of never the same again.
Right. But you guys kept going, and you were pumping out music like crazy. Because so you just dropped an album on November 3rd through Better Noise Music called Die About It. What album is this for you guys?
It's album number 4.
Yeah. So since 2018, your 4th album, that's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's almost too much. It didn't dawn on me until, we were getting, because I thought this record was going to come out next year, and then the labels, no, it's coming out this year. I'm like, whoa, this is like the train really doesn't stop moving. And I think it just hit me like, I'm like, damn, I've been on tour with Ice Nine Kills all year. I do a lot of different projects. My old band, God forbid, reunited, and I play in this band with the guys from Metallica called The Wedding Band. So I'm just always doing something. I'm really busy, and I'm just like, man, I think I'm burnt out. And then I was like, when I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, because we haven't stopped.
So when you do rest, how do you do that? What do you do? Do you go on vacation? Do you just stay at home?
I mean, like, God forbid, we played this heavy metal cruise right before. So literally right before this tour, I was out on a boat, with
that's cool.
playing with them. But I had to perform, so it's like I got to relax a little bit, but I was still working.
Right.
So I feel like I don't think me and my lady have been on a proper vacation probably since before the pandemic, and we were supposed, like, we had a trip booked in March. Was it March? It was somewhere around March. We were supposed to go to Ireland, Dublin, and Amsterdam.
Oh, nice.
And everything happened, and it's just that, like, a lot of people, the pandemic affected everyone financially. Like, all of a sudden things that were a little bit easier became a little bit more tough, and and then traveling became difficult, and so it's been really, when all that went down and Bad Wolves, we split with our ex-singer, like, the intensity of the workload just started and never stopped, because we were kind of out there fighting for our lives, and from a career standpoint, that kind of hasn't stopped for me for a couple of years. At some point I need to rest, I think, but it's hard, when you're kind of chasing this momentum, and you kind of see the potential of what you could do in front of you, and I guess you could label me a workaholic. But
when someone says, hey, do you want to open for Bush? How do you say no to that?
Yeah, we didn't.
Right.
I think, listen, good opportunity, it's not every day where you're going to get a good opportunity or great opportunity. So you have to take those when they make sense, but you also have to create your own opportunity. As a band, you can't just sit around waiting for the phone to call, which is why, I'm really hoping we really focus on doing more headlining in the next year. I think it's so important to kind of codify the relationship with your fan base.
Yeah.
Is to headline and play a long set list and play deep cuts and play fan favorites and, take your time and communicate with them. You know, formulate. You have to formulate that relationship, that connection. So important. And we've done a lot of supporting and not enough headlining. So that's something I'd like to really do more of in the next year.
So are you guys part of the festival scene too? Have you got in on that?
I mean, we've done a ton of them. I don't know what the status is for next year. We'll see. You know, obviously, if opportunities arise, we'll jump right on it and do that, because it's so important. You know, for the type of exposure you need. You know, in Europe and in the States, like these rallying points. It's a great place to actually connect with other bands, because so many bands are there, and you get to kind of like, you know, show off in front of your peers. But yeah, those great audiences. You want to go out there and you want to kick people in the teeth and really get people talking about you. So, you know, if we get those opportunities, we're gonna jump right on them and go out and crush it. Take some names, you know.
Is there any talks about touring with other people?
Yeah, but none I can mention.
Oh.
You know, you don't want to. It's not really good form to kind of talk about things that are not really in writing, and you don't want to jinx it. So we're definitely in the running for some tours, and a lot of ideas have come up, and we'll see. I'm sure something cool is going to happen, because it usually does. We've had really good luck in that regard.
Well, let's talk a little more about this new album, Die About It. Came out November 3rd, and you've got some writing credits on there. It's you, Masquerade, NDA, and the title song, Die About It. So that's an awesome song. And what's it about, trollers?
I mean, listen, I don't know how much you followed the band the last few years, but we're a band that has encountered a lot of negativity. Some of that kind of centrally focused from certain individuals, and some of it just a kind of culture around our band where that's just kind of the things we deal with. And I think that takes an emotional toll on, you know, and for DL, our singer, he was new to it, you know, but he got to experience it firsthand, and it affects you emotionally. I think the best way to process that is through your art, and don't shove it down and pretend like it doesn't exist. You know, confront it direct on and take some ownership over it. Take some, make the thing that is bothering you most, and just don't be defensive about it. Get on the offense.
Right.
And so that's what it's about, kind of reclaiming that strength and speaking truth to something that's a real thing we all deal with. And I think that's cathartic not only for DL, but I think for us collectively to go, yeah, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like us, don't take a walk. You know, if you don't like what we're doing, like we'll be fine without you. We don't need everyone's support. And so that's, you know, and sometimes you need to have those songs, you know, and listen, that's not the whole album. That's one song on the album.
Right.
But that was the sentiment that I think really connects. That song is like, as a live song, that one's been really going over great. You know, I think
bet.
Because of the aggression and the power and the dynamics, and it's a different kind of song for the band, but something that just works, you know.
Yep. And so what's the writing process? So you were sitting around the table, or how do you guys do that? Like, is the music written first or the lyrics written first? How's that work?
Usually music, like that one, it was John, our drummer, he had done a session with an old friend that actually had passed away, his producer named Gus Crins, and he was showing me like these instrumentals, and I was like, good. I was like, and he worked on the song. I didn't love the whole song, but parts of it I thought were amazing. And I was like, yo, we should use that. So it kind of started with me really kind of putting the screws to him to start developing that. And it kind of, it's just, you know, we have a process, you know, we basically sit down, you know, this time it was like me, John, Max, our guitar player, myself, and, you know, just you start with one idea, and then you develop 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 ideas off that one idea, lay them down, and then you start, let's try this drum beat, let's move this part over here, and then it, you know, becomes almost like a Frankenstein's monster until you find something that you connect with. And that song went through many different versions. There was, you know, kind of a big metal riff at the beginning of the song, and we got rid of it, you know, which I was kind of, much to my chagrin, I missed the riff, but I'm always going to want a riff, you know. And then DL, you know, doing the kind of rapping thing, which no one saw that coming. That was totally left field.
Yeah, I went on and I was like, who are they featuring on this track? Because I did not know that was DL doing it.
And then the scream part, like the kind of death metal voice he's doing, that was new too. We never heard him do that ever. So it was a lot of new. And, and I love anything that, I like simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something simple about the song, and just the power of it just gets you going. So, like, I like new, I like powerful, I like, and that was a big reason why we put the song second. Even though I know it's the intro, but, like, we kind of look at that as, like, one track. But
right.
as far as, like, normal songs, it's the second song because we wanted something that was kind of going to poke people in the eye. That instead of just, let's put something early in the record that makes people feel like it's comfort food. No, we want to let you know we're trying some different stuff. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then go listen to something else.
I loved how you did the intro and then Bad Friend. And that is like one song, but I was like, wow, this intro's really chill for them. And then all of a sudden Bad Friend kicks in. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, it throws some people off. Some people love it, some people hate it. But it felt right. And, John, it was something John was working on with a buddy of his. And again, really, it's like a nursery rhyme almost, or a lullaby. Artistically gratifying. And again, having that dichotomy between something kind of pretty and soft, and the truth is just like lulling you into a sense of safety when you're about to get punched in the teeth.
Right. Exactly.
Right around the corner.
And there's something to be said for a band that can do that and sound so different. Like, think about just all the music that you've grown up with or have listened to. There's some songs that come on and you know exactly who it is because it sounds like the 50 other songs that they have, right? So it's really cool to be able to do that, and it shows how musically talented you guys are.
There's a lot of talent in this band, and I certainly can't claim to be the most talented. In many ways, it's like that was a big piece of navigating this album, was like when you have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative thrust, figuring out, like me, like I had to kind of take a back seat on this record and make room for other people to do what they wanted to do, and that's a discipline. But you have to be able to do that and to allow the machinery to keep moving. Sometimes you got to step up, sometimes you got to take a step back. For me, it was about getting in where I could fit in, but also going, hey, if someone else is cooking, let them cook. Yeah. Let them, let them do what they're doing. So you gotta create those pathways, and that's a big reason why this record kind of came together pretty quick. Between every tour we go and we work for a few weeks. Pretty soon, we had enough stuff for a record. So it was awesome how it came together.
Do you guys find yourself writing anything while you're on tour? Like, are you touring around in like a van or a bus, or how do you guys get around?
We're in a bus right now. We're in this thing called a bandwagon, which is like. It's like a bus, but it's just like a little smaller.
Yeah.
But it's like not like a normal bus. But yeah, we're on buses. We'll do a little riding on the road. Not a ton. It's more like ideas will germinate, or maybe like me, like when I get to I've been so busy on tour all year that I feel like I'm always working on something.
Yeah.
Like some project. So it's like I get into the writing part when I can actually just relax. Actually go, hey, let me feel exploratory, and I'll just, I'll be on stage and I'll be working on something. Oh, let me record that real quick, and that'll, find its way. I remember there was a song last record called House of Cards, and the riff for that started when I was on the road, like just, messing around. And there's a song that didn't even make it on. That's literally I wrote it for the second album, and it was supposed to make it on this album and didn't make it, but that beginnings of that started me just messing around with my amp on stage. So it's like, you gotta find it wherever you can find it.
Well, whatever you guys are doing, it's working. And that album just dropped November 3rd, and you can get it on all the streaming platforms. And Bad Wolves is on tour right now, so make sure you visit their website, check out the dates and what's closest to you, because it wraps up December 6th.
The Bush tour wraps up November 6th, but we're doing more shows. We're doing headline shows with Ava Under Fire. We're playing in Seattle and Reno, Nevada, Roseville, California, Los Angeles, California. We're doing a headline show there. We just added another show in Seal Beach. We're doing a show for Jose Mangan from Octane. So, Liquid Metal, Sirius XM. So we're wrapping that up at the end of the year. So if you're on the West Coast, definitely check out those dates. If anyone here is on the West Coast, tell your friends on the West Coast.
Yeah, will do. Thank you so much for taking the time with me, Doc. I really appreciate the chat.
I really appreciate your time, and thanks for having us. Hope to see you there, but please say hello.